So, in this lecture, we're going to talk about customizing the Capture One workspace. Now, by default, when you first install it, it has it set up in a layout as we saw before, where we have all the tool tabs over here. We have the toolbar across the top. We have the browser, and then we have the viewer. Now, if you wanted to customize this, you can go in here and starting with the tool tabs, you can go in and choose to remove them or put another tool tab and add different tools in there and get very customized. You can also, if you're say working in the adjust panel and you find that there are a bunch of adjustments that you always want to use, you can, instead of having to go down to the scrollable area and find the adjustment that you want, you can click here on the tool that you want to use and say, oh no, I can't move it. Oh yeah, there we go. Move to pinned area, and that will move it up into this area. So it means as I'm scrolling, it's always staying there. And if I don't want it there, I can say move it back to the scrollable area, and it goes back to the scrollable area. But it goes down to the bottom. So if you want this in a different place, you just drag it around till you get it to where you want it to be. I've always been one of those people who likes to work from top to bottom, so this is kind of where I'd like to do this. Realistically, though, I think that if I was to really customize this for myself, I would probably put the white balance, the exposure, and the dynamic range up in the pinned area because I'd be accessing them a lot more often. So that would just be one option to keep it a little bit more flowing for the workspace. Okay, so that's in here. You can also go in and do right click in here and choose to see icon and text or icon only. And you can also go in and customize this toolbar also, where when you click this open, it will allow you to add other things in here that you might want to see that may not already be there. So for example, if I wanted to have workspaces up in the panel here, I would basically grab the icon and then figure out where I want it to be and put it one side or the other and drop it in. And that type of thing. So if I've got these, got some options in terms of how I want to adjust this, I can basically do it. Anything I don't want in here, I can just drag it and remove it. So it makes it fairly functional to customize the toolbar. And everybody has certain tools they like to use a lot. You can also do that in the cursor tools themselves. There are certain cursor tools you can go in and add and remove in there too. So it's very customizable. Now, the other thing that I think is really unique to this program is the fact that it also has the capability of, if you go up to Window and go to Workspace, you've got a variety of different workspaces you can work with. For example, for people who've been using this program for a number of years, might not like the latest update in terms of how the tool tabs were arranged, and might want to work with the legacy one. Or if you're doing weddings, you might want to click to that, so it just shows the ones that you would use for weddings, which are a little bit different and have to deal with composition and maybe overlays, things like that. You could also go in and go to this one, which is kind of unique. This one's called Migration, and this one allows me to take a look at the program as if I'm looking at it inside of Lightroom. You'll notice that all the adjustments are over here on the right hand side like you had in Lightroom. You have the browser down the bottom like the film strip, the viewer here in the middle like the loop and grid view, and then once again across the top you have the toolbar. So this is a layout that helps people migrate over from Lightroom and then maybe eventually go to the other workspaces. But in my personal opinion, I say try to learn what the actual default workspace is, because you will run into some issues as you're trying to learn how to use the program um, when other people, I'm sorry, you're learning the program, but you might go work for people who have it laid out a certain way. And if you ever work for a photographer, they've got their way they want to do things, and you never want to change things. So if you want to have your own workspace at home, that's fine. But in here, you definitely want to have the workspace that they are off, that they want to use. So that's just a very important thing to think about as you're looking at the program. The other one in here that's unique that you might run into when you are working with or on shoots, on locations, stuff like that, is dual monitor. And you've got a dual monitor with a large browser or a dual monitor with a large viewer, because this is set up so that when you're looking at it in a dual monitor, you've got certain windows in one model and one versus the other, and it makes it easier to see, especially if you're doing in a studio where you've got a second monitor that's hooked up that's actually in the green room where you have the client watching the shoot while it's going on and things like that. So that's how that works. So there you go. The customization of the workspace, very unique and very customizable.